How can a country be born in a day and start a war the next? Today we travel to 1948 to understand what happened when the State of Israel was declared and why that year still shapes the present. First, the context. After World War II, Palestine was still under the British mandate. Tensions between communities had been growing for years. The UN proposed a way out: divide the territory into two states, one Jewish and one Arab, and place Jerusalem under a special international status. On November 29, 1947, the General Assembly approved that partition. The Jewish leadership accepted the plan. Most Arab leaders and several Arab states rejected it. The result? From that very day, intercommunal violence erupted. Blocked roads, attacks, reprisals. It's crucial to understand that before the armies of neighboring countries entered, there was already a war inside the territory. Let's jump to May 14, 1948. That day, the British mandate ended. David Ben-Gurion proclaimed the State of Israel in Tel Aviv. For some, it was the fulfillment of a historic dream. For others, the beginning of an existential threat. Hours later, several Arab countries announced they would intervene. May 15th, the 1948 Arab-Israeli War begins. Egypt, Transjordan, what we know today as Jordan, Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon take part. You might be wondering, how didn't the Arab states win if they were more numerous? The key is that total population does not automatically translate into soldiers who are coordinated, equipped, and present on the same front at the same time. When open war breaks out, the new state gains a less visible advantage, an increasingly unified command. Jewish militias like the Haganah are integrated into the Israel Defense Forces. That allows them to move troops quickly within a relatively compact territory using interior lines and communications they already controlled during the Civil War phase. On the other side, the Arab states act with different objectives. Jordan prioritizes the West Bank and Jerusalem. Egypt focuses farther south. Syria and Iraq push on other fronts. That lack of coordination reduces their effective strength. At the same time, during UN-mediated truces, all sides try to rearm. Israel obtains key materiel, small arms and a few aircraft, and professionalizes an emerging air force. We're not talking about overwhelming superiority, but about small advantages accumulated at decisive moments and places. As the front lines shift, another reality defines 1948 for millions of people: the Palestinian exodus. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians flee the fighting or are expelled from their towns and villages. They become refugees in Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, and other countries. Their homes, land, and memories are left behind. For those families, 1948 is the Nakba, the catastrophe. For many Jewish families arriving, including Holocaust survivors or communities expelled from or departing Middle Eastern and North African countries in the following years, the new state represents refuge and a beginning. Two narratives are born in the same year and often coexist in tension. In December 1948, the UN approved a resolution that, among other points, proposed that refugees who wish to return and live in peace should be able to do so, and that those who did not return should receive compensation. That framework opens questions that, to this day, remain unresolved. Who can return? How? Under what conditions? And who compensates whom? The war continues with phases of offensive and pauses. In 1949, armistices arrive. These are not peace treaties. They are agreements to stop shooting. Those ceasefire lines, the so-called green lines, redraw the map. Jerusalem is divided. The western part under Israeli control, the eastern part, including the Old City, under Jordan. Gaza comes under Egyptian administration, the West Bank under Jordanian control. Israel holds a territory larger than what the partition plan had allotted to the Jewish state. The projected Arab state does not materialize. If you view 1948 like a scoreboard, you miss the whole film. It isn't a story of black and white, but of timing, logistics, political objectives, and decisions under pressure. And above all, it's a human story. New majorities and minorities, families safe for the first time, families who lose everything, neighbors who never speak again. So why does 1948 matter today? Because it left 4 open folders still on the table: the status of refugees, the future of Jerusalem, the security of those living on both sides of the lines, and the definition of final borders. Every subsequent negotiation, Suez, 1967, 1973, Oslo, plays out on a board set up that year. There's one more thing worth saying out loud. Understanding 1948 doesn't mean taking an automatic side. It means recognizing that 2 collective memories were born at the same time, and that if we don't understand them, the present becomes a puzzle with no instructions. For those who celebrate, 1948 is independence. For those who mourn, it is loss and expulsion. If you want to understand the region, you have to listen to both words. Back to the opening question. How can a country be born in a day and start a war the next? Because it wasn't born in a vacuum. It came after decades of aspirations, migrations, promises, and traumas. And because when an international decision collides with opposing fears, interests, and hopes on the ground, the calendar stamps one date, but the real history is written across many. That is the legacy of 1948, a powerful prologue, full of light and shadow that still shapes every conversation about peace, security, justice, and the future in the region. I'll leave you with one last question. Instead of demonizing one side or the other, what can we learn from that year so that today no one has to become a refugee? Know the history so we don't repeat the same mistakes.